This is unprecedented. Welcome to Unsolicited Book Reviews. My name is Abby and I give unsolicited book opinions on the internet. Before we start this very, very exciting video, I'm just gonna say, if you see the giant scratch on my glasses, just know that it's my own fault and that I put them where they shouldn't have been. They fell on the ground and then I stepped on them. So I'm gonna be getting some new glasses soon. So I'll be a whole new person with a whole new personality and I'm going to be insufferable. But until then, we're just gonna have to deal with this monstrosity. I don't know if you can see, and also my glasses are filthy. Why didn't you tell me? It's reaching a point where like I can't see with this giant scratch. Can you see this giant scratch on my glasses? Because I stepped on them, okay? But I need them in order to read. So we're just gonna have to deal with what we have, okay? Now, today is a very exciting and in-depth video because something unprecedented has occurred. I have not had one 5-star book in the month of May so far. I have had two. I have had 2 5-star books in the month of May. And listen, I know that this is my first year on BookTube. I know that I'm still new to the game. All right, but last year I was doing stats just for my own fun because I'm a nerd and I wanted to know what my book stats were. Out of the 39 books that I read last year, I had 2 5 stars. I'm thinking I'm the problem and that my line is just like way too high. But that's okay because we're gonna get into all of it in this video. Now, I will tell you what these books are a little bit later, but first I wanted to tell you what makes a book a 5-star for me, because I know a lot of people are like, I give 5 stars for the vibes. If a book has a really good vibe, I will give it a 5-star. And people are giving out 5 stars like Oprah gives out Cars, okay? And I want to be that person, but I'm not that person. I don't know whether it's because I am just a grumpy old lady in a 26-year-old's body or what it is. I think maybe I'm overly critical. I'm overly critical of everything, and I really should do some self-reflection and some growth on that. But until that day comes, this is what I'm working with, okay? So after some intense deliberation, some really in-depth research, scientifically backed by me, an art student, this is what I have come up with in terms of my criteria for a 5-star. And I think I can break it up into 5 criteria, 1 for each star, if you will. I am being so serious about this. I literally have my notes. I've written notes for this, okay? Hence the glasses with the giant scratch, because I need to be able to read them. So I take this BookTube very seriously. I was typing away about this, all right? And I'm very excited. Point number 1, a 5-star book has to make me think. It has to make me either think about my life choices or how I view certain topics or situations. And ideally, it would show me something new every time I read it. I don't generally reread books, but if I were going to reread a book, it's more likely to be a book that I have ranked 5 stars before. And so I want this book to show me something new every time. Now, usually I read books that mean that I don't have to think very hard about serious things or about things that like make my head spin a little bit. However, a 5-star book will say, not today. Today you're gonna think about some stuff and you're gonna like it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna like it. Criteria number 2, it has to make me feel an intense emotion or series of emotions. Whether that emotion be nostalgia, fear, happiness, anger, sadness, confusion. I want to feel it in my bones. In my bones. That takes me from just reading a book to experiencing a book. Do you see what I'm getting at? Criteria number 3, I have to be audibly engaging with this book. I know that a book is good when no matter how hard I try, I am talking to the book. I am going like, no way, be so for real. What do you mean? What? Like those sorts of things. Audibly gasping, squealing, screeching, hiding behind a pillow. Like, I need to be audibly engaging with the words, with the book. If my reactions are so intense that I actually have no choice but to verbalize what I am feeling, that's when I know it's a good book. That's when I know we're getting into 5-star territory. Criteria number 4 is I need to be excited to pick up this book. There are some books where you can like pick it up, put it down, and you have no problem with that. A 5-star book for me is like calling to me. It's like a siren song when I'm doing something else. It's like, come back and read me. And I'm like, I want to, okay? I need to be counting down the minutes to when I can pick up that book again. Like, this is all my brain can think about. If I'm like off doing something else, I am just sitting there like waiting to get back to my book so that I can find out what happens. Now, I do love reading and I would rather be reading than doing many other things anyway, but this is like deeper than that. It's not, oh, I would rather be at home reading. It's, I would rather be at home reading that specific book right now. Right now. Right now. And criteria number 5. This book needs to make my head spin. This book needs to make me stare at a wall and contemplate the 300, 400, 500 pages that I have just read. That is what needs to happen to me when I am closing this book, because I have finished it. I need to close it and go, that's what needs to happen. I don't think I'm asking for much. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm the problem. Nah. So now that I have explained to you what my 5-star criteria is, let me tell you the 2 books that I read back to back. I don't even, my head was spinning by the end of it. I was like, is this what, like, I don't understand what this is. So the first 5-star in the year of our Lord 2026 was Yesteryear by Carol Claire Burke. What was that book? I'm like actually like having flashbacks to this book. Okay. This book was a total surprise 5-star for me. I had no plans of picking up this book. I saw it in the Express section of my library and I was like, oh, I've heard some people talk about this book. Let me grab it. Little did I know that this would be not necessarily life-changing, but year-changing. One of the highlights, readingly, bookishly, one of the reading highlights of my year. Just sitting there on the shelf for me to take. And boy, did I take it. This book sunk its claws into me and did not let me go until I finished that last page. It was the most intense reading experience I've had in a very long time. For those of you who do not know what Yesteryear is about, there is a lot of discourse about this online, but if you've missed it, Yesteryear follows a tradwife influencer named Natalie Heller Mills, and she is a very successful tradwife influencer online. Until one day, she wakes up in 1855 and has to be a traditional wife, like an actual 1855 traditional wife. And this book just follows Natalie as she navigates this experience, tries to figure out how to get home, and just like the craziest journey. You're taken on the craziest journey with this character. And the resulting story is a fever dream of a book. When I was reading it, Matthew was asking me how it was, and I was like, this is a fever dream in a book. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's weird in like a little bit of an unsettling way, where you're just like, I am so confused and concerned. You know what I mean? And this book will make you question everything. Every page you read, you'll be like, but was it? Is it? How? How is this happening? And you won't find out until the end. You won't find out. And the ending, the ending was so insane. I wasn't even, this was, yeah. Like, I couldn't articulate when I finished it what I had just read. And you know that you are reading a really good book when you're like, I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning, but I have stayed up until 12:30 at night to finish this book. Like, I will pay for this the next day, but do I regret it? No. No, I don't. That was this type of book. So Burke explores this concept of tradwife influencing through scathing satire. And it will have you both deeply concerned and rolling with laughter. It's as if the author's being like, yes, I know that this is really insane and wacky, but also this is like low-key kind of hilarious. Because it's so insane. It's so insane that you're just like, what? Like, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. You know what I mean? There were so many times in this book where I was audibly saying, what the actual heck is going on? And this book had all of the twists and turns of a mystery thriller where you're constantly turning the page, your heart's racing a little bit because you're just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, what's gonna happen to this woman? What about the people around her? Like, I don't understand. While also having some of the social commentary of a lit fic. It was like a really weird amalgamation of those two genres that I hadn't read before. I'm sure there are other examples of this, but this was like my first foray into this. And I had never experienced this. And I was like, what's going on? I plowed through this book in like 3 or 4 days. Thanks in part to the large print version that I managed to get at the library. And when I tell you this book did not let me go for 3 or 4 pages, it is the only thing I thought about. And anytime that I was doing anything else, I was just sitting there going like, but what's gonna, like, the book, I need to know what's happening. And poor Matthew, every time he'd come home, he'd be like, hey, how was your day? And I'd be like, forget about my day. Let me tell you about Natalie's day, because this girl's having some problems. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is the religious aspect of this book. I could see how there would be some people in the Christian community who could find this book insensitive or insulting. I am not one of those people. I find satire about the church as an institution to be healthy. I don't really have a problem with it. There are some topics that I personally won't read if it's done satirically. And those topics span both religious and non-religious topics. And I won't get into it. I mean, if you really want to know, you can ask. I'm like, there are just some things that I don't find funny, and there are some things that I just choose not to read about. Does it mean that I think people shouldn't write about it? No, it just means that I won't read it. And that's just my personal preference. Other people have different preferences. Now, a disclaimer, I am a Christian, but I have only been a part of a few different denominations. So like, I can't speak from certain people's perspectives because I have never taken part in the ways that they congregate and the ways that they worship and the ways that they interpret or relate with scripture. That's fine. I can only speak from my understanding, my lived experience. So I think that satire about the church as an institution can be healthy because it's one of the ways that the church sort of has a mirror held up to itself to see how others view what's going on inside the church. So for example, one of the topics or themes that this book explores is the emphasis on marriage in the church, especially for women. And from my experience, this spans many different denominations. It doesn't just impact one denomination or one church. I have had experiences with this in a couple different denominations, and I have friends from other denominations who have also experienced this like really intense emphasis on the importance of marriage. And I'm not saying marriage isn't important, but there does seem to be like a really intense emphasis put on the concept of marriage. And that's one of the themes that's explored in this book. Specifically in this book, marriage is almost made to seem as if it's like the final boss for women. As soon as you become married and you have children, like, congratulations, you have reached the peak of womanhood. And unfortunately, that is not something that only exists within this book. I have had conversations with many women in my time who have felt this like undue pressure on being married. And the older you get, the more intense that pressure gets. And one of the things I really appreciated about this book is that it can show satirically and with hyperbole the damage that can do, that rhetoric can have on an individual. And hyperbole is a very common tool used in satirical books, used in many books, not just satirical books. And much of the hyperbole in this book specifically surrounds the expectations of women, both societally and within the church. I actually wrote down a quote that I thought really helped encapsulate this. I'm gonna pick this up so that I can read it. So the quote says, "This was the world I was born into, a world where good Christian women moonlighted as crisis managers for their good Christian men. The unrealistic expectations of women in society, including in Christian circles, can be suffocating." And I know that because I have lived it and I have witnessed it. And trying to live up to these impossible standards that are definitely played up in this book, I have never experienced anything quite so outright and severe as this, but these impossible standards are suffocating, and they make you feel like this book, like you're living in a fever dream and like the walls are closing in on you. And that if one small thing doesn't go to plan, or the timeline gets messed up and you won't be married by the age of 22, then suddenly everything explodes. Your entire worldview is suddenly called into question. Your value as a woman is called into question. And I get that this is so extreme, but the reason I'm using this extreme language is because that's what this book is doing. It's showing these things from such an extreme standpoint that you have to look and be like, this is a little bit ridiculous. It is. So I recommended this book to a friend of mine, and she read it. And we had a really cool, short conversation about it, because one of the other things that is touched on in this book is the manosphere. And I'll put a definition of the manosphere on here. I don't want to give it a bunch of my time because we don't want that negativity here. But one of the critiques that my friend had of this book was that she felt like the author did not necessarily explore the manosphere enough. And I reflected on that for a bit, and I thought, you know what, that's fair. That's fair, but also I think that's kind of the point, because the men of this book don't really matter. They don't. And I think that's so telling about the extreme nature of this book and the extreme concepts that she's trying to get across. It's the emphasis on marriage that's the important part. Who the man is doesn't matter. What he does, what he believes doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're married. That's the point. It doesn't matter who the man is, as long as you are married. And so it results in this weird dynamic where the husband is a side character in the marriage, which is wild. It's wild. But the more you read it, the more you're like, what on earth is going on? So what the husband does or does not do, or does or does not believe, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and I think that's the point. So, am I upset about this book and the religious elements of it? No, not at all. Not at all. I think it made me stop and reflect. At some points, it made me laugh, because I was like, oh my gosh, I've heard someone say that. Or, oh my gosh, I've heard someone say something like that. Or, oh my goodness, I know that there are people out there who think this. And that's crazy. And I will be thinking of this book for a long, long time to come. And I have been recommending it to so many people, and now I am recommending it to you. I think that this is one of the best books I have read in a very, very long time. And that is saying something. I do not give out praise easily. I do not give out 5 stars easily. So this, I'm not joking. This is a great book. Now, the second 5-star book, I'm not going to spend much time on because it's Pride and Prejudice. And you know, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to tell you, okay? You need to go read Pride and Prejudice. But here I am saying it again. You need to go read Pride and Prejudice because it's so good. It's so good. I try to reread Pride and Prejudice every year. It's just such a nostalgic book for me. I have so much love for this book. And it was actually one of those times where I was introduced to the 1995 BBC miniseries version of Pride and Prejudice which is the superior version. Don't come at me. I do make the rules, and those are the rules that the 1995 version is the better one. I digress. I actually watched that before I read the book. I was introduced to that at like the age of 12, maybe earlier. And ever since, I've just been like in love with this story. And then when I got a little bit older, I read the book and I was like, the book is even better. So I try to reread the book every year. And this year I decided to listen to it on audiobook instead. Oh, what a great decision that was. And listening to it on audiobook was actually a way for me to get even more things out of it. And I was able to hear like callbacks to certain other points of the book and just be like, oh my goodness. And also the fact that I know the story so well, they'll like reference something or like a personality trait of a certain character and I'll be like, just you wait until you find out. And I'm fully interacting with this book. I'm fully interacting with these characters and I love it. These characters hold a very, very special place in my heart and they always will. And remember back when I said, oh, and I have to like audibly engage with the book. When I tell you, I audibly shrieked in the middle of a public park when a certain plot point happened. Audibly shrieked in public. Okay, this is why I don't go out. Because this sort of stuff happens to me. But I could not contain myself because I knew what was going to happen. And then it happened and I was like, eee! I need to take a breath. Because I really get fired up about this book. Did this book give me an unrealistic expectation of love? Yes. But did I find my own Mr. Darcy, my tall, handsome husband? Yes, I did. Don't give up on your dreams, girls. He's out there. He's out there. I love him. This book makes me feel deeply nostalgic. And it's like a hug every time I reread it. And I audibly gasp whenever anything remotely shocking happens, even though I know it's coming. However, the older I get, the more thankful I am that I was born in this century with the rights that I have, because I listen to what these women's days were filled with. And listen, am I in a tax bracket where if I was born back then, I would be in one of those fancy houses and embroider all day? No, but let me imagine for a second that I was. I would be so bored. I would be so bored and I'd want to vote and I wouldn't be able to vote. Here's what needs to happen. What needs to happen is someone needs to figure out how I can vote while also wearing a ball gown on a regular basis. Because I would look incredible in a ball gown. This is a missed opportunity and I would like to partake in the ball gowns. This book will forever hold a special place in my heart and I will love it until the day I die. And until I die, everybody else is going to hear about it too. So there you have it. My 5 stars so far this year. 2 in a row. Who'd have thought? Not this gal. Not this gal. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you today. And I hope that right now the book you're reading is a 5-star, because there is nothing quite like that 5-star feeling. And I know that's why we read, to read great stories and get new experiences, but also like we're kind of chasing that high. We are kind of chasing that high. Don't deny it. Don't tell me that I'm the only one, okay? Because I am a part of this community. I know what we're like. And we're all chasing that 5-star high. So I hope that the book you're reading is a 5-star. And if not, I hope you get one really, really soon. I'll be back next week with another video. But until then, I hope your book is good. And I hope you have unhinged opinions about it. Bye.